Welcome to the Analysis Corner. Today's story is Hans Christian Andersen's The Money Box. As usual, this review and the conclusions that I draw are not to be taken as source or research material. This is meant to be a casual look into the many ways one story can be interpreted and is purely a mental exercise. I'm going to give a summary of the story, but if you want to hear the full version, here's a link to the video. The story begins in a nursery with a description of a clay money box in the shape of a pig. It has been completely filled with money and is very much aware and proud of the fact that it has achieved its ultimate purpose. There are other toys who come to life and decide that they want to play a set of games called Playing at Men and Women. They are led by an old doll with a mended neck. They decide to have a tea party, followed by a discussion for mental improvement, and finally, a play. All of the toys are excited to participate, and everyone is invited. The only one to receive a written invitation is the clay pig. The pig is so important that the others fear it might not accept a verbal invitation. Indeed, it is so esteemed that it is able to demand that the games be brought to its home at the top of the cupboard instead of the pig joining the others down below. The other toys are able to accommodate, and they begin by having their discussion for mental improvement. Each toy spends time talking of the things it is most proficient at. They have such a great time that they skip the tea party and go straight to the play. It's a clumsy production, but they all enjoy the comedy, including the clay pig. To show its appreciation, the pig starts to think about including a toy in its will, naming one to be put inside the family vault with it when the time comes. As the festivities continue, however, the clay pig is knocked off of its place on the top of the cupboard. It shatters, releasing all of the coins inside. The next morning, the broken pieces are swept into the dustbin, and a new, empty clay pig is put in its place. The story at first seems like an odd, rambling tale that children make up about toys that come to life and what they might do when no one is looking. However, there is a very real hierarchy among the toys that speaks of a situation more likely to be encountered by adults. The tale opens with a very detailed description of the money box, which is in the shape of a pig with a slot on its back big enough to put dollar or crown pieces through. The clay pig is also said to have reached its highest achievement, which is to be completely filled with money and no longer being able to rattle when shaken. The pig is also aware that it has enough money to buy all of the other toys in the room. To add to its lofty status, its place in the nursery is on the top of the cupboard, high above everything else. The other toys also have rather vivid descriptions. There's an old doll with a mended neck lying in a partially open drawer, framed engravings that accidentally show their wrong side, which they did not want to do, a children's wagon, which certainly belonged to the coarser playthings, etc. The physical descriptions alone already make it obvious that the characters in the story are well aware of where they stand in terms of value. The differences in rank are further emphasized when the toys decide to have a discussion for mental improvement. The rocking horse only speaks of training and races, the wagon of railways and steam power, and the clock of politics and of knowing the time of day, even though the others whisper that there is something not quite right about it. There are further descriptions of the other toys and the subject they most excel at. Whatever the toy is, the recurring theme is that each is only able to focus on their profession, as is the correct order of things. The toys also put together a play which is clumsy but exciting and funny enough to please everyone, including the clay pig. The toys call their games playing at men and women. All of the details put together paint a picture of the struggles of adult life hidden behind these so-called games. Each toy is placed in a specific part of the nursery. The farther each one is from the floor, the more important they are. It is also made clear that their interactions with each other are centered around the type of toy they are. It's described as their profession and harkens to the awkward conversations people might have when with a group they are not familiar with. These conversations often revolve around the weather or what they do for a living. The insecurities the toys have about showing their wrong or unpainted sides is also a very real thing that adults face. It's not a coincidence that the toys call their games playing at men and women. It's not just about some inanimate objects magically come to life pretending to be people, but a reflection of how adults must navigate society, hiding their problems and insecurities while showing only their good side and playing at being fully composed and capable men and women. The saddest part of the story is the death of the clay pig. It is repeatedly brought home through the description of the amount of money it holds and through the deference the other toys pay that the pig has reached the limit of its usefulness. It can no longer hold any more money, and that money would serve no purpose were it to remain inside the pig. To reach its fullest potential and fulfill its ultimate purpose, it needs to be broken to release the money. While it seems like a silly ending, giving the pig its comeuppance for its clear arrogance towards the other toys, the situation can be taken to represent the cruel reality of life. The pig dutifully fulfilled its purpose, but once it had done so, it was no longer useful. It was casually thrown away in a dustbin and replaced by another. There's no further description of what the other toys felt at the clay pig's destruction, and with the new money box in place, it would appear that life just goes on. What do you think of this story? Does it showcase some of the struggles people face in real life under the guise of games played by anthropomorphized toys? Do you think the destruction of the clay pig is a reflection of the idea that the end of usefulness and the end of a life are simply taken in stride and that things just keep moving forward with the next person in line? I hope you enjoyed this deeper look into the money box. I always enjoy sharing some of my thoughts on the twists and turns of these old stories. Until next time, I am, as always, your friendly resident ghost in the library.